Well, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Natalie Ashdown from the Open Door Coaching Group, and it is great to welcome you to the Coaching Cafe today. Today, we're talking about what we need right now is better conversations. So whether you're listening to this live with us, hello to you all, or whether you're listening to this on your favorite podcast service, welcome to the podcast, and welcome to Bridge, who's here with me today in the office, and Paula, who's online. Great to see you both as well.
Hi.
I wanted to bring you both in because I want you to start generating questions that we need for conversations. So I brought the two experts in to help us along. Before we begin, let me acknowledge the traditional owners and the custodians on the lands on which we're meeting today, their continuing connection to the land, the waters, and the communities of Australia. We pay the respects to them and to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And of course, we have a lot of people who join us from international Indigenous communities as well. So we welcome you and acknowledge you as well from international communities. So today we are all about talking about conversations and why they're so important right now. So this is a pretty obvious topic for all of you coaches on the line, but what we're really focusing on is how do we have better conversations in this hybrid world, and what does coaching bring to that? As I said, pretty obvious for the coaches, but if you're a manager, if you're looking after your people, you're thinking about how do we manage this hybrid challenge, we want to offer you a lot of ideas today. If you are new to the coaching community, welcome, whether you're listening to this live or on your favorite streaming service. We are all about creating a community, sharing our experiences, our thought-provoking conversations. You can interact with us by hitting up the chat box. So we've got the chat box on here, we're watching, and we'll bring your comments in. And of course, if you are a regular to the Coaching Cafe, welcome back. You know that we really do appreciate and we enjoy catching up with you live every Friday for the Coaching Cafe. If you are also collecting your ICF CCEs, we will have those available for you at the end of the session. You can take your screenshot and then try to remember where you need to save them so that when your credential comes along, you'll have a whole bunch of CCUs ready to go. So Bridget and Paula, thank you for joining me. I wanted to bring the Open Door coaches, bring the experts in, because we want to be generating a lot of questions today that's going to help us with that hybrid conversation. But first of all, I wanted to talk about the what's going on in the hybrid world at the moment. And there's a lot of research actually that's been shared. We particularly like to go to gallup.com.au. You can hit the link there. A recent research from Gallup suggests that there's a lot of advantages of the hybrid world, including improved work-life balance, more efficient use of time, control over your work hours and your location. And there's a lot of conversations actually at the moment around it's mitigating burnout, which is really important. I'm not sure I actually agree with that. I think with the executive coaching, we're seeing extended work hours, and there is quite a bit of burnout going on. So I'm relying on the research here, but I don't know, I can see you nodding your head, Bridge. What do you reckon about that?
Oh, look, I can see it from both perspectives, I think. I think it could be easy to remain in that space of work if you are working remotely and not removing yourself from that situation, and you tend to. So whilst on one hand, if you are aware and conscious of the fact of these are my working hours and what have you, and you can be really productive because perhaps, you know, you're not traveling and what have you to get to places. At the same time, I think that burnout could happen if you're unaware of how long you're spending in the one spot, for example.
I'm hearing maybe it's the executives that are doing it. I'm not sure, but I'm seeing a lot of people, you know, instead of going out for that walk in the morning or exercising, they're just grabbing their coffee and they're hitting their desks, and then that need to be on longer. So for me, I know the research says that burnout mitigation is happening, but for me, it's all about creating those boundaries and making sure that we've got real boundaries at home as well. And thank you for jumping in. You've said exactly the same thing. You say there's a danger of no boundaries, particularly if you don't have a space you can close off. Yes, that's very true. Also, people working in areas of high stress, such as family violence, found that they were bringing this into what was previously their safe space. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Actually, we have a personal experience ourselves of how the space was overcome with work. So my kitchen, or the area that was previously my own private space, became a workspace. When I say personal, I know people within our family that's our extended family that's actually happened to. So yes, I think that is still an issue. For some, it's their bedroom, as you said. Yes, that's right. I think that is still an issue. I know we've had a couple of years of this hybrid, but working out where we're going to work and putting those boundaries in place. Paula, I see you nodding your head as well. Jump in here.
Yeah, because it's really easy. And for everyone on the line, I actually am fully at home for most of my work for Open Door Coaching. And it took me a while to figure out so I love the flexibility because I've got young kids, and it really helps me to be able to do all the things I need to do for them. But I had to really think, particularly at the beginning of the year, when do I want to be working, and how does that work with the organisation, so that I'm not working all the time? Because I would quite often do a little bit here, go do something, do a little bit here, go do something. And so I was never really off, because I was always trying to fit my entire life into this period of time. And so I had to really ask myself some questions about when would I be most productive, and when is the right time to do this? Because otherwise when you're at home, it's easy to just keep going. It'll be fine. I'll do this over here. I'll do that over there. So that whole idea around the burnout is, am I switching off? Am I going for the walk? Am I doing the things I'm supposed to do for my health, whilst balancing what do I need to deliver in my role? So I agree with all of that says you need a space that belongs to you. And then you need to make really clear choices about when I am in that space and when I'm not in the space.
Yes, I can definitely relate to what you're saying there, Paula. And of course, for people that have tuned into the Coaching Cafe, they know that Paula's dialing in from Perth. So there's a 3-hour time difference between Melbourne and Perth. And it's very easy, actually, if Perth is still online, to continue working. So Melbourne people continue working later because Perth is online. Or the other thing that is the concern is that because Perth is online, Melbourne people start earlier. I'm seeing a lot of this with colleagues and clients who have international colleagues. It is so easy to dial in to the US or the UK or Singapore, dial in at night because I'm sitting at my desk at home. As opposed to what we might have done previously. For me to dial in and have those conversations, I might have had to have stayed back really late. So I think it's easier to enable the workflow, but we really do have to watch that it's not extending our work days either in the morning because of the different time zones, or much, much later into the night because of the time zones as well. I know time zones have always happened. It's not like just the last 2 years we've been all of a sudden doing this. People have been doing this for years and years, but what I'm noticing is the extension now. Yeah. Well, great. Well, we're talking about, of course, the advantages of the hybrid workplace, and the research actually suggests that there is some challenges around having the right tools to be effective, feeling a bit less connected to the organization's culture. And this is an important comment as well. I've seen a lot of commentary around just bringing people back to work is not making a culture. So there's this bit of attitude of bring them back into work and we'll have a good culture. Well, actually, we all know, all those people, I can see the experience on the line. It's not as easy as that. There's some impaired collaboration and relationships that aren't quite right, and disrupted work processes as well. Interestingly, the research at the moment says that there's more advantages than challenges. But it does depend on whose perspective you're coming from. So employers think there's more challenges, employees think there's more advantages, which is probably it makes sense when you think about it. Employees are going, this is great. The employers are going, I don't think so. So a bit of a disconnect there as well.
Yeah, and I think that I won't move ahead, but just in terms of how do we bring that together? You know, how do we bring the idea together so that there's that really good balance and that everyone's feeling, you know, recognised, supported, connected, and that, you know, both managers and employees are feeling like this is working for us.
Yes, and we've talked a bit about that over the past webinars as well, is that it's talking about what does the individual need, but what does the organisation need as well. So the organisation, the employers, the managers, they have needs as well as the staff or the team members, I think. So, and it's what does that look like together?
Yeah.
So for those that you can't see me, I'm kind of trying to bring those two parts together, think about the higher purpose about what we're trying to achieve and how we do that. They're all really good questions. Yeah. And feel free, everyone, to jump in on the chat. We can pick up your comments as we go as well. Sue says, I work remotely now. There've been changes to my team over time, and developing new relationships can be challenging. Yes, I feel for those people that joined their organizations during the last 2 years that haven't really had that face-to-face sit down for coffee kind of interactions. And there has been some discussion actually that building those relationships like we used to is more of a challenge. So Sue, people that we've talked to in our coaching can definitely relate to that. Yeah. Thank you. Well, let's talk about what we need right now is better conversations. We all agree. We want to introduce you to one of our favorite tools. It comes from our Leader as Coach program. So for those of you that have joined our Leader as Coach program, joined Bridget for that program, you'll know that this is one of our favorite tools, and it makes a huge difference to how we go about our conversations. Of course, we do bring this into our Certificate 4 in Workplace and Business Coaching programs as well. But yeah, definitely one of our key tools in our Leader as Coach program. And it's the 5 levels of conversation. So I'm going to jump forward now and introduce these levels. And what I would love to do, that's why I brought you here, Paula and Bridget. You can do the heavy duty lifting for us and generate the questions out of the 5 levels. So for those of you that can't see the diagram, we've got a triangle diagram. Across the bottom, we've got level 1 conversations, which are surface level conversations. Surface level conversations are what I call the warm-up conversations. And do you know what I've noticed is people aren't doing this. They're getting on Zoom and they're getting stuck into business. They're not doing those kind of surface level warm-up kind of how's it going kind of conversations. And I think there's something missing. We just get to the next meeting, off we go. So Paula, Bridget, why don't you jump in? Tell us what kind of questions are at that surface level. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think with level 1 surface conversations, it's really about starting from scratch. It's starting from the basics. It's building rapport. It's being interested in some of the, the surface type of things that support building up on conversation. So essentially, I think those level 1 conversations help people to connect and feel engaged in the conversation. It might be things like, so how is the weather in Perth at the moment? What's happening for you over there? What's the sky like? And some of those simple questions, but they're nice rapport building questions that start up a conversation.
I think the emphasis on rapport building is what we actually need right now. And I'm glad you brought that up, Bridge, because it does create those connections. And I coach some very fast-paced people and like, oh, I don't have time for that. But actually, we have to make that little bit of time at the start of our conversations. I just caught up with a colleague just earlier today from Air Force that he said, so how's your swimming going, Matt?
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks for asking. Thanks for remembering and thanks for asking. And we had a bit of a chat about my swimming and then we got down to business and it's those kind of connections that we really do need right now. I think taking that little bit of time out. Of course, obvious for all you great coaches on the line. We're not telling you anything that you don't already know, but good to remember. And Anne, you've jumped in again. Thank you. Level 1 needs to be sincere. Oh, thank you for saying that. Not communication 101 where we feel like we're ticking the box. Yeah. So it's not, ask the 3 questions, tick the box, let's get down to business. Thank you for reminding us about that.
Yeah. And I think when I think about level 1 surface conversations from a hybrid perspective, I think it's like walking into the tea room when you're making your cup of tea.
Yes.
And you're connecting with someone in that tea room. And so you're having that level 1 surface conversation to build that rapport, build that connection, having you feel like you belong. So if someone's on the other side of the country or what have you, and we're working together, we can still connect in the same way we might if we were having a cup of tea in the tea room.
Yeah, that feeling of belonging, that's what people actually need. Yeah. Well, thank you. Let's go to level 2 then. Oh, Paula, did you want to throw in any surface levels?
The only thing I wanted to add was it's actually my favorite part of the conversation. It's that piece where you get to know people on a human level. And I love that. I love those questions. I love when you can find out a little bit more about a person in those conversations as well. So you can, what were you up to on the weekend? It's the footy talk. It's the water cooler talk. And I think I actually like that it breaks down the them and us, and it's just us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's what people want, that sense of connection, that sense of belonging. We are not, by the way, skipping through the daisies singing Kumbaya. There's a lot of research to say that, these basic conversations make a huge difference. So thank you for adding that as well. So level 2 is the level of facts. So we're going up the pyramid now. And this is where we're starting to gather data and we're starting to gather facts. So if we're having a conversation, it might be around what exactly is happening. So tell me how many people were involved, who attended the meeting, those kind of things. Where are you at with insert whatever goal or task you're trying to achieve? So it's a fact that will be ready by Friday or whatever it might be. So we're trying to gather that information. Now, I know there's a lot of organizations and types of organizations that just stick at this level, facts, and level 3, which is thinking. Just give me the facts, just give me the data, and we'll stick with that. So because of that, what kind of questions might we generate if we're trying to gather that information?
I think we can all think of gathering information type of questions. Did you read the report, or what was in the report? Now, this is where level 1 comes into being really important, because if we skip that level 1 and we're moving straight into the facts and we don't have that rapport, there's that real disconnect in the conversation, because sometimes those fact questions may not have necessarily the warmth or the connection attached to them that you might want to have. So it's really important to have those level 1, and therefore you basically having that feeling of inclusiveness. So you've built that surface level rapport building, and then asking those fact level questions softens it a bit, I think.
Not just straight down to business and let's get on with it. And now, it's not like we're suggesting that you do this for 4 hours, like, surface level, let's just chitty chat. We're not talking about that, but we are talking about a connection before you start asking for the facts. Otherwise, it's coming across as very directive, very Air Force would say very knife hand, very, get down to it. Yeah.
So your level 2 questions, who was there, what was in the report, those sorts of questions where you're really finding out the facts or the answer. There's a direct answer to something that you're inquiring about.
Yeah, definitely. And level 3, thinking level. So getting to the next level now is around thinking. This level is about trying to inquire as to what is the thinking, what's the background, what are the recommendations. As I mentioned with level 2, a lot of our clients are sticking with the facts and thinking, telling you what I think about this, or expressing my opinion. But Paula, I see that smile coming up on your face. Jump in here.
Yeah, so this is the one where you want to hear what their idea is for the move forward, not your idea, what their idea is. So what options have you come up with? What might be the best way forward for this? They're those types of questions where you're really asking, it's the step from I've got the facts, I've thought about it, and here's what I've thought about.
course. Go
Yeah,
on,
and
Bridget.
yeah, look, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think when I think about level 3 and beyond, we're asking more of you. You know, I'm asking more of you. So I'm asking beyond just the fact. What was in the report. What did you think about that? So I'm asking more of you than just, did you read it? Yes or no, or what was in it? Fact. What did you think about that? Or what were your thoughts around that? What options do you think we might have? So I'm really eliciting more from you.
And of course, the word that comes up for me is curiosity. What makes a great coach? The top 10 practices of the world's best coaches. Curiosity comes up as one of the top 10 practices. So this level 3 thinking is where we really start to evoke that curiosity and try to, as Paula said, gather the information from the person. Now, of course, great coaches on the line, you will know this. I did have someone recently say, oh, so this is where the coaching kicks in. And because we're trying to elicit the thoughts and opinions of the person we're coaching. But of course, what we're trying to say is, no, coaching kicks in at all the levels, not just start coaching at level 3. So we're asking great questions. We're eliciting information from people. We're doing great listening at all of the levels, even though it does feel like level 3 is where it mostly kicks in. Let's jump then to level 4. Oh, actually, we've got a couple more questions coming in. Thanks. A couple more comments coming in. Thanks for that, Michelle. Most people need to understand that thinking level is number 3 or 5. Many people stop here because they feel the task is done. Thank you very much, Michelle. Lovely segue now, because we're going to talk about level 4 types of coaching conversations, which is the feeling types of questions and conversations. And there's been a couple of organizations that I've worked with recently. They go, no, we don't do that. Actually, we'll stick to level 1, level 2, and level 3. That is fine. So actually moving into, it's great to be able to say, what are you thinking and what are the options, but what's your gut telling you about that, or what's your feeling about this? Now, that's a different level of conversation. Of course, it was going on during COVID times. How you're feeling, like we're checking in on mental health and those kind of great conversations as well. But there's more we can do, I think, on the day-to-day about feeling. I think we can ask more questions about feeling without having to get, touchy feely. What do you think?
I think this is what stands out for me here is thinking about, we're not only thinking there's sort of that head space, but we're feeling with gut or heart. So head, heart, gut. So in terms of being able to make better decisions, to be able to look at things from a well-rounded perspective, to really connect with what we are thinking or feeling, having that head, heart, gut perspective around different conversations, I think is really important. And that's where that level 3, level 4 comes in, I think, looking at that well-rounded.
Yeah, go on, Paula. What were you feeling about this conversation?
I know it's a hard one because lots of people, they hear the word feel and it elicits a different response. They do think it's a touchy-feely, but I think when you use the word gut feel, it helps to connect people with it. And for me, it's like you've got 3 options here. So which one's going to feel the best for you to move forward with? What feels right for you at this point in time? It's really connecting the person to the choice that they're making when they're looking at it.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And the other words that come up for me is intuition or instincts as well. And we know in your coaching that when you are not connecting your head, your heart, your gut, when you're not following your intuition or your instincts, you don't make as better a decision as Bridget was alluding to as well. So very important coaching executives and in senior managers, coaching across the organization, that we're trusting our gut, we're trusting our instincts, we're trusting our past experience as well. Of course, being curious about what it might look like if we weren't just relying, when it's not that we're relying on past experiences, but we're trusting experience here as well. So asking better questions about how we feel about things or what the feel. Other questions around what the vibe, the feel, the mood, the vibe, all of these kind of questions are kind of cool questions. And Anne's jumped in again. You've asked, is level 4 asking people to consider the impact of perhaps the facts? Nice distinction there. Thank you. Yeah. Rather than hanging out in the facts or hiding behind them. Nice distinction.
It is nice. I think impact of the feelings or the thoughts comes at the next level, I think, for that inner conversation where you're almost assessing then what you think or feel about a certain thing.
Yeah, good instincts. Yeah, good instincts. See, I'm feeling a good insight there. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's not a linear model. We don't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're done. We're going to move in and out of the levels. We'll start different conversations at different levels according to who we're talking to. You know, like with the Open Door team here, we just get down to it. But we will do the, you know, we will do the introductory stuff if we haven't seen each other for a while, we haven't talked to each other today. So we can move in and out of the levels as well, not just a linear approach. And finally, being conscious of the time now as well, we've got a level 5, which is the inner level. We're thinking more about why is this so important. So leader as coach, we ban why questions in certain contexts. Here we bring it back to go, why is this important? What's the most important thing? How's this linked to the strategy or the goals we're trying to achieve? So
yeah, and I often talk about using why at this level as opposed to level 1, where it could potentially come across as, you know, why are you doing it like that, which could create some defensiveness. So unless we've actually built that rapport and built on our levels, you get to that inner, you know, where you've I guess you're invited to have an inner level conversation with someone because you've been able to build that rapport with them and worked through those levels. So why then becomes a really valuable question. You know, why is that important to you to achieve, what have you, or what is the impact of this happening or what have you. So you're really stretching your thinking and feeling. You're assessing that, evaluating how you think, what you think, how you feel about something at that inner level.
Yeah, evaluating and going, I'm thinking the words that come up for me is deep diving. So digging in deeper, diving in deeper, evaluating. Paula, what are you thinking or feeling?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, for me, it's like you got to this point now, how does this connect with the bigger picture?
Yeah.
If you're doing this, how will that lead you to where you need to be? What does this mean for you if you can now do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Go on, Nat.
No, you go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think you're absolutely right. And I think the more that we can tap into each level and respect each level, every single day that we're having conversations from a hybrid perspective, that we're actually connecting with others on every level in every single way. So we're having those richer conversations, those more meaningful conversations, you know, that are heartfelt, we're thinking with our heads, we're feeling with our hearts and getting that to that gut feel, and we're feeling quite grounded with the conversations that we're having, I think, make for better workplaces and better connection.
Yeah, that's a lovely summary. Thank you. And Michelle, welcome. Michelle says, I love this model, first time here. So welcome. We love our people who join us for the first time. We hope you become a regular. Really insightful comment. Thank you. The idea that you earn the right to ask the why. How about that as an insight? Yeah. So because we've moved through these levels, we're kind of earning the right to ask why instead of opening with it. So that's we don't just open with why did you do that? We're moving through the levels. Why is this so important? Tell me what your thinking is behind that. So yeah, really nice insight. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. And Tony, yeah, I think you've really picked up on something important here as well. The framework, you say, is so simple, yet it's so complex. It's very easy to understand, and the power lies in someone's ability to work with the depth up the apex of the pyramid. thinking about the possibility of the type of conversations at the top of the pyramid and conversations across the pyramid. So thanks for that insight, Tony. I think that's a really nice place to leave our conversation. We know that the research with working in the hybrid workplace as we move forward, it is about conversations. We can do so much in our coaching to bring those conversations alive, asking those great coaching questions. If you're listening to this, obviously pause and write down the questions that Bridget and Paula have offered as well. And of course, if you need your managers to be coaching and doing more of this, then we have our Leader as Coach programs coming up, which is that really bite-sized introduction to really great coaching skills. Or you might like to extend yourself into the Certificate 4 in Workplace and Business Coaching as well. So thanks, Paula. Thanks, Bridget. Thanks, everyone, for joining us and jumping in. It's been great to have you. We appreciate you too. Anne said we appreciate the sessions. Yeah, we appreciate bringing them because we really stretch and have a good think for ourselves as well. So as we say every time, thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy your coaching. We look forward to catching up with you at our next Coaching Cafe.